The fire burning red in a Joshua representing of a comes hard here. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go on like come son. Red.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you can even money, money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep, you can even money. When you've been up for a bum, you haven't every money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, you haven't every money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guild up this. A 2 pound note and a guild up this. A 2 pound note and a guild up this. This is all the money that me walk for. Money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, I know what you can have in money. Oh, Joseph.
Comes out your son. You burn this wine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb, cause them heart not kind. Comes, I say them heart not kind. Buxton massive. Kidaki. Red Hat.
Well, I invoke the WPA's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government. And on that grounds, I refuse to participate in the interview. The question and struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruption over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting oil money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go against fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, they got Bradford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam, Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London, Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews, big up Paslow Port People Governor, Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson, Hampton Green and Winston Jordan, and yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time, the people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North. You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop located in the East Ramveld Market Meat Section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more.
The fire burning red.
Well, I inform
So in short, we can say the PPP has been forming its own counter army to the Ghana Defense Force, its own army. Yeah. But man, in a way, the man, and welcome to another program. Phantom Squad was a set.
With that, I agree with that sentiment. You got them really at the talk show. A lot of them are young people right now. Because you got to explain. You have to explain. Thank you.
So what is the time or is going to them around for your family? Because there's a lot of people that's behind your program, Nate.
You know that we acknowledge anything. Call your life. Like I didn't dress yet.
A lot of people don't get it.
Okay, so you know that we acknowledge anything. Call your life.
Morning, Kadachi. A lot of people don't get it and listen to you.
Morning or your morning. Oh Lord. Like I didn't dress yet. The clothes were fixing. So yeah, give me a minute. But morning, ever morning, how are you doing? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. A man from Buxton. Buxton, man. Bad man, a bad man. Bad man, a play. Oh. Pass me the AK. Bad man, a box man. Bad man, oh. Bad man, a play. Yeah, the other time when there was a top tune in this country. I remember the tune. Oh, I can't remember who the singer. I think that song was by a Jamaican artist, and then them guys modified it to include Boxing Man and EK and all kind of thing. That was a time. That was a time when the PPP had the death squad roaming the land. Black clothes police. Black clothes police. Death squad. Phantom squad was a set of squad. All of them were Grim Reapers. They're looking for blood. The US has said that there are two major militias in this country. I tell you all, I've been talking for quite a while, since long before the cows come home. I've been telling you, the PPP is funding paramilitary groups in this country. It ain't nothing but security services. Security services don't need the kind of weapons that they walk around with in this country to say that they're security guards. The US said it. They got 2 militias in this country, 2 militia groups in this country, and they got weaponry that is more modern and sophisticated than the defense force has. So in short, we can say the PPP has been forming its own counter army to the Guyana Defense Force, its own army. Yeah. But morning, morning, welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is 7:27. It's the 13th day of June in the year 2024. How was your yesterday? What happened for you yesterday? We had a lot of rain on the East Coast yesterday. I don't know if George, some people had rain too, but I want to believe all the blessings was on the East Coast. All the rain was in Georgetown, on the East Coast. It's true. I don't know, but it rained a lot yesterday, and the place had a nice cool to it. I mean, there were some inhibitions to people getting about their businesses and so on, but sometimes we need a little washout, a little cool down. How was it last night? Last night had to be a cool night because of the rain yesterday and so on, and light showers during the night. So I hope you had a good night last night. You rested well. I just look in the camera, realize all my white head is gone. Well, looking young and handsome again, boy. Any takers? I got you a bachelorette party or nah, let over along the line. This is not a good time. Please stop your nonsense. Yes, yes, how was it last night? What was it yesterday? What did you achieve yesterday? Y'all hear any gossip yesterday? Well, I heard gossip, and I know y'all like a gossip. According to them, boys, enough people is them Facebook or Facebook to hear what's the goings on. So yesterday we got that call that Lenore Primary School was out for yesterday and the day before. The teachers were 100% on strike. Y'all remember that? Yes. I got that call the day before yesterday to say that the teachers basically shut down the school and gone home. All them children got find the parents and said teachers in teaching. And then yesterday morning we got a call to say that the same thing was happening yesterday morning. The teachers did not turn up to school, so the children had to find their way back home. Now, I like to talk in context, y'all. Always, I like to give context. The context is that teachers are on strike. And so really and truly no teacher should be in school to teach. But here, Lenore is a hardcore PPP area. In fact, they said the Don's president come from Lenore. They got enough people in Lenore that way smarter, way brighter, way more brilliant than the Don's president, right? But Lenore people support the PPP a whole lot. And so even the teachers who are predominantly from the neighborhood or the local, there were kind of not 100% with the strike because they know the president, they know the president family, and they got connections, let's say. And so maybe some of them were being taken care of under the table and so on and so forth. So they were turning out to teach the children. They look like them, for the greater part. But I understand that the chief education officer son attends that school too. Right, so you could understand why it is that that school had to be in operation all the time. Big people, pick leaders go to the school. Chief education officer's son goes to that school, allegedly. And you know, the Lenore people are in strong support of the PPP and so on. And so then why it look bad. So they got the school running and thing. I don't know what the outside arrangements. But I understand things came to a head when allegedly, the son of a senior education official who attends that school lifted up the skirt of a young lady or people under the skirt of a young lady. You know, we have some peeping toms in this society. And so I understand allegedly that this incident happened where a child, as we just say, peep somebody, your child. And the teacher disciplined that child. I don't know if it's a class teacher, I don't know if it's a senior teacher, I don't know. But a teacher disciplined the child, apparently with lashes. Apparently with lashes. It is alleged that the chief education officer subsequently suspended that teacher, sent her home. It is alleged, as old people say, home by a misselam. It is alleged that the chief education officer suspended that teacher home. And our colleagues decided, this is one step too far. We are already in cooperating with the union. We are already in striking point. Y'all entitled ill-behaved child misbehaved and was disciplined. And y'all gonna send we home for that? Well, how are we gonna go? So I understand the entire staff of the school went home in solidarity with the teacher that was sent home. They said 9 and no ask 10. So I'm asking 10. 9 tell me the story. I've reported it as me by Miss Selam. So I'm asking now. 10, are you there? You have a different version? Please let me know. Right? But that's the version I heard in detail. You see, why do I report these things? Is it because I want to be smart somebody's character? No. Is it because it is unjust? Yes. Teachers are responsible for children's safety at school. Teachers are responsible for the maintenance of quote-unquote law and order in school. And so you can't give them a responsibility, and when they exercise that responsibility, they exercise that authority, then you penalize them for it because it depends on whose child was penalized. It reminds me that not so long ago, I read a report of a teacher at Queen's College, I think, or Bishop's High, flogging a group of boys. And the teacher was subsequently suspended because he dared to flog a group of boys, including somebody big shot child. And so the big shot child was too big shot to get flogged and went home perhaps and reported. And the phone calls were made and that male teacher was suspended. Now, unless we start to discipline our children from an early age and let them know, well, this is wrong and that is right. And if you do this, you're going to get punished. And if you do this, you're going to get reward. And punishment is a reward, for bad behavior, right? I usually say I would beat my children so that police ain't gonna beat them. Unless we train up a child the way he should go, we're going to get serious problem in this society. We're going to get allegations the type that we get against Dharam Lal. Because some people under somebody's skirt and getting a pass, the next thing you might want to touch somebody's child and you're going to get a pass, and the next thing you're going to take it further and you're going to get a pass. But they might come a time when nobody going to get a pass and they're going to cut out your head. And for those of you who are always watching the program to get in my brain, when I say cut out your head, not literally. Right? They're going to take action against you. And so that is why I discuss these things when I am told about them. Because I want other parents to have the opportunity to reflect on the child's behavior and see if they fall into the trap of giving their children a free play when they misbehave in certain ways. Because here, it has come back to haunt you. The child, the individual that is jumping into people's homes now and steal things, didn't just wake up and believe that I can jump into people's homes and steal things. It had a start. It's pushing your hand through the fence and pick up the neighbor egg when they fall late. It's climbing up on the fence and picking your neighbor mango because it's ripe. It's going in the neighbor yard because the gate was left ajar and look around to see where you could carry maybe a bicycle wheel. And then it's venturing up the back steps because the neighbor back door left open and you're picking up the blender. In other words, it's progressive. It progresses. And so we have to nip these things in the bud. Nip them in the bud. So teachers at Lenora, hold your ground. I don't know what you are demanding. Most likely you are demanding that the teacher be returned to his desk. But just as though you have got the energy to support, quote unquote, one of your own on the local facility, support the national teachers strike. That is going to bring justice to you. Morning, it's 23 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. Is where Winston Jordan there. Today we are supposed to talk with Mr. Winston Jordan, former Minister of Finance. And so if you're there, big man, I'll call you in a bit so we could talk about these things. We got enough things to talk about. I know who you want to talk about, but you know, the same news is dynamic. And that is why everybody is always running to the front of the queue to say, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Because news is dynamic. It changes by the minute. And so what was hot news last week is stay news, serve cold as ice this week. And so what is the hot news now? Right now the hot news is sanctions, sanctions, sanctions. Evasion of taxes, misappropriation of public assets, expropriation of private property, and stuff like that. That is hot news. So I hope Mr. Johnny is going to come here and let's have some discussion about these things and the impact on the society. Yesterday, the first caller was making the point that, you know, when you look at the Mohammeds from a particular angle, you see them as doing good because they were evading taxes, $50 million in tax or something like that, the US report says. And they were taking that money and they were doling it out to the lesser fortunate in the society. So they were doing a function of government. They were collecting taxes, albeit through the unconventional route, and they were investing it in the populace. Old people said two wrong don't make a right. If the laws say you're supposed to remit your taxes based on what you sell, based on what you trade, remit your taxes. Even if the government is not a just government, remit your taxes. The good book says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, or render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. They didn't say if Caesar good or bad, right? If Caesar is a bad man, give Caesar eating. He's going to save you. Good? And so don't let us take that position that doing the wrong thing to assist the lesser fortunate is going to absolve us of any wrongdoing. You answer for your sins. Right? You answer for your sins. Good. How y'all do? How y'all do? I hope y'all doing good enough. Yes, before I proceed, let me say, Lyndon Wills, I saw you. I saw you yesterday. Michelle, I did see you yesterday. Grace, oh, Lyndon, I should not have called you surname. Sorry about that. Grace, I saw you. R. King, I saw you. Gail Escott, I saw you. Carlton Henry, I saw you too. Conrad, I saw you. Darcy, I saw you. Brent Null, I saw you. Good, right? Those are the people from yesterday who contributed to the cash app. Remember, the aim is 50 people who have not contributed before. I know Gail has contributed more than once. So let's keep that in mind. Gail has contributed more than once. And so Gail double dipped or so, and that is commendable. Good? The good book, well, I don't know if the good book, I know the pastors will stand in the pulpit and say, give one till it hurts. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think you can give according to your riches on earth. I don't know about your riches in heaven. Yes, all right. It's 90 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. I feel lighthearted. I know you all recognize that I feel lighthearted. Yeah, I'm getting back to my usual self, I think. And so I will continue to try to get to my usual self and bring you unadulterated information and analyses and the Guyanese morning time. I'm calling our financial expert this morning. I hope he's up and ready for me.
Morning, Chief.
Why I ain't got time no further? I ain't even got here for my head right now. What's wrong with you?
Don't forget we're all chiefs in our land before they hobble us in ships and so on and shipped us over here, you know.
Yeah, them dirty stinking dungeons.
Yeah.
Like Reinfeldt lock up.
Exactly, you understand? In fact, I would think based on your description of the lockups, it mirrored closely what the ships, what the conditions that existed in when they were bringing us across from Africa to the Caribbean.
That's a fact. They want us to relive the terror of our ancestors.
You know, but we survived those, and I guess we will survive. But we survive with our fighting spirit intact. I hope. I said hope because they got a standing joke which says that they dropped off the most docile towards the end of the trip, and that was it in British Guiana.
Yeah, of course. If you got troublemakers, you want to kick them off first. So, is it those that you're gonna keep for the long end of the journey? And you know, they said the troublemakers were dropped off in places like Jamaica and so on. And the other day, Jamaican come out and said, "I need security."
Yes.
So, I guess the person was speaking from the point of view of the most docile went together.
You know, sometimes we don't like the man in the mirror. You understand? We don't like what we see of ourselves.
We just also for disown ourselves, you know.
Exactly.
So that's the whole situation there.
You ever see people stand up in front of the mirror and cuss it out?
Man, this mirror make I look fat. I gotta get rid of this mirror, man. Every time I come to this mirror got me looking fat. But you ain't closing your mouth, you're still chewing.
And you notice the image is talking back to you. Exactly.
Yeah. Listen, I know you, Dubai.
I mean, you know, I like the weather. I already talking about the weather. I like the weather. You know, it's not the kind where it rains all day, rains 2 days, rains 3 days, place completely flooded, you know, and you get down and out, you know. It rains to cool down the place, then it stops, they give you some sun to dry out your clothes, and, you know, good weather. No complaints there. The only little complaint, if there were, was that, you know, I had to do some business yesterday downtown. Finding parking, of course, in Main Street was a major problem. But even if you found parking, the sides of Main Street were literally flooded. And it occurred from the nonsense that they did within the passenger parkway in that, you know, that space that divides the two streets. And the narrowing of the drains. You know, we didn't have any major deluge in the town. But yes, still on both sides, you couldn't walk on the pavement and you couldn't walk on the sides of the road. So, you know, this foolishness continues just because we have money, right? And it's being done in the name of beautification, right? We're covering the earth with one set of concrete, so the water can't be absorbed into the ground. We're narrowing the drains to create widened streets. So whenever you got that deluge, the drains can't take off the water. You know, as they say, go bravely, man.
Yeah, I just the other day I was out wondering and say, with all this rain falling, I didn't hear they talk about Georgetown flooding. Like these people improve on the game.
No, well, it's certainly not the kind of rain that we had back in the day when Georgetown flooded. As I said, you know, the rain is not falling in a manner which suggests it's continuously falling over a long period, and therefore the hookers and so on are shut tight, and whenever you have to open it, you can't drain off the amount of water, and so new water is accumulating on old water. So I don't think we have had that kind of weather at all. You know, so it's no major engineering feat at the moment. You know, but as I said, places like Main Street and Carmichael Street and some places even Water Street and so on, where they have done these walkways, elevated them and then concreted them or put clay bricks in them. Those are turned out to be problem areas, problem streets. You know.
But naturally, if you reduce the size of the reservoir, then there is no reservoir. The capacity is reduced, and so the water doesn't go down; it stays up.
Exactly, exactly.
But no, them boys didn't understand. Them boys looking at aesthetics. The guy, once it looks shiny and nice, we're doing good.
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's aesthetics, I mean, what happened? A beautifully, even if you built up the passageway there with art surrounding the sites and so on, and you put some lovely flowers and plants and trees and whatever the case may be, that's far more beautiful than putting a couple of imported clay bricks into the art and narrowing the drains. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, you should do the same nonsense on the East Coast Road, and you more than me because you live on the East Coast. You know what happens there when it rains. I was traveling there on Saturday when it was raining heavily, and if you see the amount of water on the East Coast Road, if you see the amount of water on the sides of the East Coast Road, it had nowhere to go. The water had nowhere to go from the median. There was nowhere for the water to go, and it just kept piling up there, and it caused a lot of problems because people were edging more and more to the little space that where the water didn't reach us yet. It's amazing, and we continue to take out the grass and the little plants that we had in the median and replace them with clay bricks in the name of beautification. And it's ugly. It's ugly, to be quite honest. You go places like Dominican Republic and so on and see what they have done. Instead, beautiful trees are planted in the middle where the median is.
Yeah, if it didn't come for anything good, that's our mentality here. But hear me. Last week you wanted to talk about some stuff. I don't know if you want to talk about that stuff now.
No, we can. But if it's hot, then it's news.
So let's talk about these sanctions and so on that we're hearing about. As a man who's been at the helm of controlling the nation's finances not so long ago, what impact does the kind of tax evasion, let me call it that, that has been reported by the U.S. Treasury Department from one individual, one clique, let me call it that? What kind of impact we're talking about? Is this the whole story or just the tip of the iceberg?
Well, definitely it can be the whole story, Let's just say that, there are various levels of corruption in a society, okay? But there is a relationship between the degree of corruption and the ability of the officials and the institutions that you establish and the laws and so on for those to work to reduce the level of corruption or keep corruption down to a minimum. You see, the more you make corruption harder to indulge in, is the less you will get corruption. I mean, for example, take a simple example. Most people know when it's tax day in the United States, April the 15th, I think is tax day, income tax day, when you have to get your taxes filed and so on. You will see the activity that takes place around them. Because why? People know if they don't file the taxes, okay? If you don't file the taxes, Mr. IRS is going to come down on you. It's not that IRS is a big bad boss. It's that IRS will do its work, okay? And when you look at a place like United States, and you look at the fact that they could carry the owner of the Hemsley Hotel, I think it was the Hemsley Hotel, to court for taxes, for not taking no taxes, believe from or made or something like that. Where they could carry a Trump to court for taxes, for cheating on taxes. Where every single soul, from the president right down, pays taxes. Those things resonate. Those things resonate. But if you want to use an analogy in Guyana, where the president doesn't pay tax, doesn't pay any income tax, doesn't pay any kinds of taxes while he holds the post of the president. Where, if you remember not long ago, the NIS went to a certain place on the East Bank, I think it was, back I think when we were holding the Force World Cup. And there, the owner of the
business treated the NIS folks with such disdain and contempt, literally trying to run them out of his property just because the inspectors were doing the job. And nothing came of that. Nothing came of that. So what you think will happen? So the point I'm making is this cannot be the tip of the iceberg. You know, in all that I read yesterday and the day before about this matter, here's a statement that struck me. And you can tell me why this statement is not coming from Guyana. Here's the statement in quote. Today's action underscores our commitment to holding accountable those who seek to export Guyana's underdeveloped gold sector for personal gain. At first blush, if I don't tell you who said those words, you would say there must be a government of Guyana official, most likely the minister or the president or one of them big heads. That's all. That's all. But in fact, that statement was said by the Undersecretary of the Treasury for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence in the United States, Mr. Brian E. Nelson. How nice it would have been if such a statement came very early in the game when it was being said. But before we got into power in 2015, when we got into power, after we left power, that the gold sector was a troublesome sector in the sense that gold was being exported illegally. There was a lot of noise being made in the gold sector about the risks that are being taken and so on, but equal noise was not being made, and equal enforcement was not being made about the fact that large amounts of gold was being illegally exported. That notwithstanding the complaints that were being made in the sector, they were not exiting the sector. As indeed as happens in many, many cases where there are a number of private companies will complain about making losses. But 25 years from now, they're still in business, making losses. Which private sector person in their right mind would continue to be making losses and still be in business? But we don't have the requisite oversight mechanisms to go and make certain that what these people are saying is actually true. We don't, and where they do, they're not given the tools and the freedom, the biggest tool, the freedom of the officials to do their job.
So the question I am tempted to ask you, why don't we have the mechanisms? And why don't we have the mechanisms, and why where they exist, the tools are not given to the quote unquote professionals to do the job?
Yes, as I said, these in small societies, particularly like ours, where everybody knows everybody. And I'm tempted to still use the word poor, because we're still a poor nation. I mean, we may sound like if we are a high income nation per capita, but as you know, the evidence suggests differently in terms of how that wealth, that supposed wealth, is distributed, where that wealth is stuck around a very small segment of the society, and large swaths of our society don't even see the light of day. They're still struggling on one meal a day, and in some cases no meal a day as such. So in small societies like ours, where everybody knows everybody, it is easier to get to an official who is not earning, for example, the level of income that he or she should be getting. And it's made worse in a country like Guyana that has had to endure structural adjustment program for over 2 decades that would have resulted in a precipitated drop in incomes. So over the last couple of years, all we have been doing is recovering, not really progressing. We have just been recovering. So, and we take a long time over before we come out of that recovery stage. Because today when we have to worry about minimum wage, for example, of roughly $400 a month or thereabouts. We have not made much of a progress. And when you compare that to the cost of living.
But
so, yes, sorry.
Sorry, what I'm hearing from you, Mr. Jordan, is that this quote-unquote systems are not working because of the low level of pay. It is easy to corrupt public officials.
That's only one aspect of it.
Okay, yes, all right, well, that's the aspect I want. So you were giving me others. All right, let me permit you. Go ahead, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's only one aspect of it. The second one is that we may not have the financial resources to put in place the equipment to allow the officials to do their work.
We didn't have, or we may not have?
We may. I said we may. We may not have.
No, I'm asking. Hear me. Sorry. We got gas here because hear me. I deliberately ask if we didn't have or we may not have because many of us are of the opinion that we have adequate resources to fix some of these problems now.
Yes, no.
So we're talking about the past then. But we have had perhaps about 4 years to fix for some basic fixes.
That's right. I'm setting the stage.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Because if we jump to today, right? If we jump to today and we say we have the money now, we may have the money, but we may not have the skill set. We may not have the technology, and so forth. You understand? Let me give you a simple example. One of the problems one of my peeps I was going to talk about today was the banking system, for example. The more transactions, for example, that go through the banking system, it is the better for financial intelligence agencies, it is the better for the GRA, and all those other agencies. It is better for auditing and so on. It's better for the country. But here's the question. Have we been encouraging more and more transactions to go through the banking system, or have we put in place, on the other hand, measures to force people away from the banking system? And I would argue we have done the latter than the former. And that is why, for example, you see more cash transactions in Guyana rather than, say, credit card transactions. So why don't we have more credit card transactions? The argument for some of them is that, well, it's a culture, number one. Number two, we don't have the technology. And where you may get the technology, you don't have the consistency of, say, electricity. Because every time electricity goes out and you are at the ATM, you know what are the effects. Every time electricity goes out and damages an ATM machine, you know what is the impact, and so on.
Mr.
And then there's the willingness to change. There's this resistance to change, for example. The resistance to change. Still back to the banking system that I was telling you about.
So where is the resistance coming from?
The resistance comes from all ends. It comes from politicians. It comes from politicians. It comes from the owners of businesses. It comes from the very culture, for example.
Because I'm hearing this. I notice a politician could sit down tonight and decide tomorrow morning I want to shut up all those people or social media commentators and influencers, as they call us, and so on. And they're going to take a law, they're going to table a bill in the National Assembly, and in short order, they're going to get it. These politicians are also responsible for oversight of the financial market, the industry, the banking industry, for example. Central Bank is responsible, I think, for what was the oversight and monitoring and all of that. Why is it that we can't have a bill table that all banks must do X, Y, Z to facilitate more electronic financial activities? Is it because it is, as I would say, inimical to the interests of corrupt politicians and their friends?
Well, as I said, they got any number of reasons, but that is particularly one that you look at. Powerful interests that may influence the political directorate that have to bring the laws in place. Powerful interests. And this is what has happened to the gold sector. This is what has happened to the gold sector, if we can bring our conversation back to the gold sector. Take what, look, the period reference in the report that we have seen over the last couple of days was the period 2019 to 2023. I don't know why they picked that period, because quite frankly, as I said before on your program here and elsewhere, that when we came into power in 2015, we had access to a long list of names of individuals who had exported gold via Miami and New York, but it was never declared here. We had that. And I had indicated to you also that because of the difficulty of using that information in Guyana, because the declaration was made the legal declaration was made in New York, but as the legal people and the lawyers and everybody else would indicate, the crime has to be committed here. Okay?
Well, the crime must have been committed here for the go to reach Miami or New York.
The problem with that is going to get in all kinds of legal tingling about whether the gold is in fact come from Guyana, did they originate from Guyana, blah, blah, blah.
But in this day and age of DNA testing and so on, I'm sure gold has DNA.
No, and also you would need not just the paperwork that can be sent to you, you will need people coming and testify and making statements. You see, you get a big sheet of paper that have you a lot of names that comes from some department, United States. That's not evidence. You need now people to come and make statements in relation to that and testify to those statements.
Is not where the bilateral and international agreements come in, sir?
Maybe, but I can tell you, it will be extremely difficult to get a person coming out to the United States from one of those places coming here to testify in relation to that. Have you ever seen that happen before?
Well, no, I can't recall, but one of the things I want to say is in this global village now, the person didn't even have to come here physically. We've had testimonies via Zoom and so on and so forth.
But I think that is all of that has to now be taken into consideration. But I think what the information is pointing you to is, look, without getting those people involved in your courts and so on, what the information is pointing you is, look, one, you have a porous system in place. Two, here are some of the actors. We're not saying all, because this is only gold that is going to the United States. It's not gold that's going to Suriname or Venezuela or Brazil or any other port. But it is telling you, look, here are some of your main actors who are in that sector who are cheating you. So it's telling you, your people here now and your institutions here, to get their act together, to get their collaboration and get their act together. And in relation to the information that you were given, one of the critical people would be the Guyana Revenue Authority, because they have the authority under the act to go back 7 years, plus the current year, I think, in requesting you to provide true and accurate returns. And they have the capacity to now investigate your business forensically, since you would have made a certain income declaration to them, and now you have this evidence, quote unquote, evidence coming out of the United States that suggests that what you did was that. So while you may not be able to get them on a criminal charge or whatever, at least you could get them from the income tax side, right? That they have the capacity there. So what I'm saying is that this information points you to directions that you perhaps didn't go before or weren't aware of, and it also points you to the direction where you have to strengthen your laws and strengthen the enforcement of your laws. And that is what is missing in all of this.
So I'm hearing here that the GRA can now go after the Mohammeds, giving all the information that is now public or has been publicized by the U.S. Department of Treasury.
But it's not going to the Mohammeds.
No.
See, I'm going to come to you on that. Let me just finish the point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me finish the point. And that is why, for example, in 2018, I said this before, and I'm saying it again. In 2018, at the at the instance of the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association, who requested an amnesty. We said, okay, but we don't like this idea of giving a sector an amnesty. We give it to the entire country. And if you remember, I keep saying, in 2018, we gave an amnesty to the entire country, even though it was at the instance of the gold representation at the budget time. And at the end of that year, let me repeat it again, at the end of that year, we had collected $12 billion in back taxes. 12 billion, of which 9 billion came from the gold sector. 9 billion came from the gold sector.
That's 75%.
That's 75% of the back taxes that we collected. So maybe one approach right now is to go that route again and allow them to declare all the gold that we have in evidence here, quote unquote evidence, that had left the country. I mean, it's not necessarily, it's not clearly not the best approach, but at least it will try to recoup large revenues that have slipped out of the part.
But at the same time, it still gives these people the opportunity to underdeclare.
Well, no, but remember I said, this thing now is pointing you to lapses and loopholes in your present system. It's not that we didn't know about lapses and loopholes, but it's whether there is a willingness to get rid of those lapses and close those loopholes, my friend. This is where in Guyana is the major problem. On our last week program, when I had my quick 10 minutes, I told you that what you have in the situation now in Guyana is the tail wagging the dog. Special interests have got the politicians like a vice. And that is where you see the inertia enacting. And that is why I'm not surprised that the Americans refuse to collaborate in this particular matter, had refused. There are 10 agencies, I think, 10 American agencies who are collaborating into communication and so on with each other. But not one of them was referencing a Guyana agency. Not one of them.
And when you talk about special interests, I don't want our viewers to believe that to be American special interests or American special interests only. I'm sure you're referring to all the local players here.
Yes, the local special interests. Look, America has powerful lobbies, no question about it. You have all those people lobbying Congress and so on. Powerful lobbies all over the place, right? And they will influence the way things, public policy and influence laws and so on and so forth. All right? But ultimately, the global point of view is that the national good is met when we put all these special interests. In Guyana, the national good is not met. It is not met because I'm saying to you in this particular sector, this is a sector that in the jargon is called a wasting asset sector, which means when you dig out the gold, it don't grow back. It don't grow back. So you have this particular kind of sector, you have to have oversight of, because it has widespread impacts and implication on the society. And you take, for example, in the particular case of the gold sector, use of mercury and the digging out of the gold that is destroying the environment, changing the course of rivers, destroying livelihoods of the indigenous people, destroying forests and all this kind of stuff in terms of the technology that they are using to access the gold and so forth. Now, if you don't police the sector to make certain, that the technology and the production processes and so on that they're getting involved in does not do great damage to the environment. 2, that whatever taxes and so on that the sector should be paid is paid. 3, that whatever environmental permits that says that you must put back the environment to as close as possible to how you get and so on is enforced. If you don't do these things, if you become lax in these things, simply because special interests have got you locked in a vice, then everybody else is going to jump on that lapse train with the intent of seeing what they can get from it. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm following you.
And so this is what has happened in this one sector. Don't forget, this is not the only sector that this has happened, but this is a prominent sector. In the period 29-23, gold declarations had fallen precipitously. Even the little that they were declaring, in 2019, 641,828 ounces of gold was officially declared. And that represented a 4.7% increase on 2018. In 2020, gold declaration is 585,433 ounces. That represented a 7.8% decline. In 2021, gold declaration was 499,054 ounces. That represented a 14.8% decline. In 2022, gold declaration was 486,415 ounces. That represented a 2.5% decline. In 2023, gold declaration was 432,113 ounces, and that represented a 11.2% decline. So from 2019, after 2019, gold declaration has declined every single year. I referencing this period because this is the period that was referenced in the documentation in respect of the Mohammeds. From 2019 to 2023, they said that roughly 10,000 kilograms of gold was received in the United States, but undeclared here. And they referenced $50 million in taxes, in applied Guyanese taxes, that was lost to the Treasury. Now, as you rightly calculated, 10,000 kilograms of gold is 22,000 pounds of gold. Okay, and if you divide that, if you divide it by, if you multiply by 16, you will get 18 ounces. But if I use metric ton, that would be equivalent to 11 metric tons of gold that would have been, according to the document, undeclared from one exporter between 2019 and 2023, with 50 million US, equivalent to about 10 billion, equivalent to about 10 billion Guyana dollars.
What does that kind of money mean for this society? Teachers and strike for better wages and salaries.
That was what I was going to come. You read my mind. Right away, the so-called fiscal space that they claim that they don't have can be solved overnight. Even now, if you were able to get this individual to pay up this amount, you can solve your teacher strike matters which you claim you got fiscal space overnight. One person. And let me tell you again about the special interests and how the tail is wagging the dog story. When the government came to power in 2020, they met a fiscal regime, right, an income tax regime in the gold sector that was agreed with the Gold and Diamond Miners Association. This is the regime that the GGDMA sat down and worked out with us. It said that when gold prices were under $1,100 US, they will pay 2% of the gross proceeds. $1,100 US and $1,300 US, they will pay 2.5%. Between $1,300 US and $1,600 US, they'll pay 3%. And above $1,600 US, they'll pay 3.5%. Without any explanation, without any, I remember telling you, this is what was agreed with the GGDMA at the budget meeting and put into law. without any explanation, in 2022, the present government changed that regime. Change that regime to one that says under 1100 US, they'll pay 2%. And above 1100 US, they'll pay 2.5%. Can you imagine? Now, with gold prices in the stratosphere, look how much revenue we have lost as a result of putting in place this new regime. And we're not even talking, and we're talking here only from officially declared gold. Look how much revenue we have lost under this regime compared to the previous regime. And notwithstanding all of this, they removed what is called the tributus tax, which was a tax that had to be paid by employees in the sector who were not owners. And they paid that as in lieu of income tax. It was a 10% tax. That was been completely removed. In addition to removing taxes on equipment and all these kind of things. So in other words, then you have a sector. You have a sector that has been primed and primed, and yet still there are allegations continuing of massive defrauding of the country of its wealth. Massive defrauding. The tail is wagging the dog. If the politicians, if the government doesn't have the what it takes to put in place a regime that is willing to police and enforce, then don't matter how much changes in the laws that you get and so on, don't matter what you speak about, you are going to have these situations where you're going to have large complaints, but nothing is yet done. And if they're going to tell teachers that we ain't got fiscal space to pay you what is genuinely and have widespread belief that they must be paid a proper wage. So that is what is facing us. But the other problem that we have here, the other elephant in the room that is not being discussed, or we haven't looked at it from that standpoint, is this. Mohammed is not the only alleged person who's on declaring gold in this country. Like I said to you, when we came in 2015, there was a list with a long set names of people. So why target Mohammed's only? Why is Mohammed being targeted only? I'm not thinking for Mohammed, I'm just saying in the context of what has happened here. Why target Mohammed's only? Mohammed is not the only, I don't believe Mohammed is the largest gold dealer in this country. I believe at least one person more in the gold sector is larger than Mohammed's. So why is Mohammed's only tagged? Well, you can speculate. He's Muslim. Obviously, Muslim causes. It may be a means of sending a message to the government also about their recent interests, or since they've come to power, their substantial interests with the Middle East. It may be sending them a message about their recent voting in this Israel-Palestinian story, or their recent stance where that is concerned. And of course, Mohammed's relatives have been upfront in the marches and so on in relation to the Palestine story in Gaza. So you have to take that on board. Because it is clear to me that the Americans could have said, listen, these 10 people have exported gold to our country, but they only singled out Mohammed. So the wider question is, are we being distracted from what is more or less a wider issue that is of national import? Are we seeing the trees and making it into the forest? This is an angle that I think needs to be explored more in depth to make certain that Muhammad is debarred by, or is not only Muhammad is debarred by, quote unquote, debarred by, so to speak.
But I think I don't know how much more exploration we need to do to arrive at the fact that or the conclusion that there are many more persons who will find themselves on this list or who have found themselves on this list. I hear of car dealers, I hear of senior government officials, etc., etc. The report talks about public officials or government officials. You talk about special interest groups in this country, tail wagging the dog. Does that is that an indication that we really need to look as a people? We need to look at the whole issue of campaign financing for political parties, because I think a lot of these problems are tied up right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Keep it in mind, because I don't want to get this point that I wanted to say.
Okay.
So let's remember, one of the other takeaways that is extremely troubling, but which we perhaps had known, but it's now out in the open, is in relation to what they said about the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home, the then permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, in relation to three areas. Let me see if I remember them well. In relation to gun permit license, passports, and contract awards. Did I get them right?
Yes, I think those are the three identified.
Yeah. Now, what we might have thought about and anecdotally said, yes, this is what is happening, has now come out in an official document of what must be considered troubling announcement. One that is really people don't seem to understand about is the passport one. Now, read carefully what they said aside them. It is not about you going to Muhammad's going to the PS and say, listen, man, my grandchild want to travel and can you expedite the passport to me? I didn't get that impression. I got the impression that passports were being solicited for various individuals.
Permit me to say, I got the impression it's like the El Shukujama kind of passport thing.
Exactly. Okay. No, I this is just this is not can't suggest that is what the man has done. We don't want to pin anything on him. So it's all conjecture based on what we are seeing there. But for them, because I don't really think that the Americans would be too fussy about what is clearly an everyday thing. You know, friend, and you call up and say, listen, I need a speedy passport. Listen, can you? You're not asking them to break any law. You're not clearly asking them to expedite the passport for me because I need to wait till 10 weeks and 6 weeks and so on. Whatever I got paid, can I get it? Or I'm busy doing a surgery and so on. Can you expedite the passport and tell me when I can come? You know, that kind of thing. I don't get the impression that is the thing. I get the impression that passports, right, were being obtained by people who should not be obtaining these passports on the advice of some person or on the say-so of some person. And all this in exchange for some gratuity. Now, if what we are saying is true, then we are in grave situation, because when we travel on a Guyana passport, if this is the impression that the Americans got, when we travel on a Guyana passport, we will be singled out for extra attention. The kind that you don't want. When you travel on Caribbean Airlines and it lands at New York, well, as soon as the door opens, you got, especially if it's in Miami, you got customs or border patrol people there, and they stop you there, passport, and they're going through, where you coming from, what are you doing here? All that is going on right at the door, so that they can push you back in if you're not thing. and so on. Then you got dogs smelling and so on and so forth. And then you go up to the immigration and there's even more things. In other words, then, if you travel, say, on American Airlines, coming from, say, London, and it lands at its own place there in New York, easy thriller, no dogs, no thing. You go up right up to the immigration and your thing and everything, more friendly and everything. Well, you know, baggage, everything, more friendly, more friendly. But once you come in on these days, in other words, you are singled out as a traveler. And nobody wants to be singled out in that manner. Because your passport is suspect. Because they feel that your passport, the authorities don't have the requisite security in place for the passport. And this is what we were also saying, if you remember, 2 years ago on your program, I was saying when they were changing the rules to become a Guyanese citizen, the ease with which they were making you to get a birth certificate, particularly in the hinterland. I warned at that particular time that we were heading for trouble. We were heading for trouble. So now to hear that passports may have been illegally gotten by people who should not have got them, it's a troubling and worrying thing for me as a citizen of Guyana, a born citizen of Guyana. And all those legitimate citizens who are holders of Guyana passport. And it comes at a time when we were taking more pride in our passport. It was a time when people didn't want to hear anything but Guyana passport, as you well know. They don't want to hear anything but Guyana passport. They were seeking anybody else's passport except for Guyana passport. But over the last 5, 6, 7 years, that has changed to such an extent that it's caused a rapid turnover of the stock of passports.
Morning, are you? Like forgot my voice. Morning, are you? Morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is the 14th day of June in the year 2024. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Welcome to the program. How have you been? How was your yesterday? How was your last night? What are you looking forward to today? How are teachers faring? It is more than 60 days, I think, of strike. I think the teachers have been on strike for more than a term right now. And the term is quickly coming to an end. What are we doing about that? Are you seeing any light at the end of the tunnel? I don't know. I just hope that we're going to get some light at the end of the tunnel. But what I can tell you is that instead of trying to address the teachers' issue, you remember they said they ain't got no fiscal space? Can you remember that? Yes. The government said they didn't have fiscal space to deal with the teachers and their demands. But today, Kaicho is reporting that the government is to move to Parliament for a supplementary budget of $66 million for GPL. $66 million US for GPL. The government of Guyana will be moving to Parliament before the recess to have a supplementary of $66 million US approved for the Guyana Power and Light to be able to subsidize electricity. This was disclosed on Thursday by Vice President, whoever that is, Bar Jagyo, at his weekly press conference held at the office of the president. Jagyo said that on Wednesday he was informed that there is a need for US $66 million, as what the GPL budgeted for did not cater for the fuel price increases. Quote, but we are not increasing the price of electricity in another country. No, quote, we are not increasing the price of electricity. In another country, they would have increased the price of electricity. So that means before the end of the year, we'll go to Parliament for a supplementary of $66 million US for just subsidizing electricity, he added. Let me say that in another country, I'm saying this is my editorial. In another country, they would not have had a dilapidated electricity supply and distribution infrastructure. In another country, we would not have been paying above average price to a power boat to power our grid. And so while Jack Dio is saying that he has to go to Parliament for this supplementary because GPL did not consider the increase in prices, or they did not budget for the increase in prices, the question is, did they budget for the power boat? Or is that the reason why they now have a shortfall of $66 million budgeted for? US we are talking about. We don't have fiscal space to pay our teachers to educate our children, but we have fiscal space to go for a supplementary of $66 million US dollars. This is my thought on that $66 million US dollars. Even if some goes to GPL, the rest is going to finance the PPP campaign, election campaign. Y'all hear me? It's supplementary budget to finance campaign. I don't care what anybody says. Those are my opinions, and I'm entitled to them. Because we have seen, especially when they held their last Congress, we have seen that the PPP abuses state resources to do its political work. They had police in line. They had police escorting food. They had police guarding dorms, and so on and so forth. State assets were used to finance and support and host that Congress. And so it's campaign season now. They need more than they, come to think about it. I don't think they can expect anything from the Mohammeds. And so they have to find other avenues to finance the electoral campaign. Because as much as they're stinking rich from ill-gotten gains, they feel the edge of the money. Members ain't gonna want to take out their money for campaign, especially if they're not showing a return on that money. Because the writings are on the wall. They look like they're gonna get kicked out of government. So this is risky investment. So instead of risking our ill-gotten gains, especially when being at the likes of Mohammed to continue to fuel our greed through corruption, let us go to the Parliament, right? I pray for the day when we're going to have election financing laws in this country, where political parties are obligated by law to declare the source of their financing for these exorbitant election campaigns that they roll out. Yeah. Because when we have those laws and we have agencies that will ensure that those laws are upheld, we're going to see a lot of difference in how people campaign. In fact, we'll see more people on the ground campaigning than people doling out money to buy votes. Yeah. So the playing field might be leveled to some extent because all of we got restrictions on how much money we can spend to campaign for an election. Coffers might be safer. I pray for that day to come. It's 7 hours 33 and it's the 14th of June in the year 2024. It's Free Talk Friday. The lines are open. Let me tell you, at 8 o'clock, I have guests. It's been 2 months or so since Team Ben were reinstituted, let me call it that, as the bona fide stewards of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. And so today, I'm expecting some members of the Co-op Credit Union's management to come and give us an update as to what has been happening over at the credit union. So those of you who have interest in what's happening at the credit union, teachers want to know what's happening at the credit union in terms of money and so on. The entire Camps family has always been in the forefront, minding the business over the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. And so I think it's only right, that we get those updates. Good. But it's Free Talk Friday. And so before they come, let us start talking the things. The lines are open. You are free to call. The one thing I want you to do. But Jagdeo said yesterday that the local law enforcement agencies will launch an investigation of the Mohammeds. The police, the GRA, maybe the Gold Board, whoever else, whoever those agencies are, whichever those agencies are. Do you believe it's likely that the local agencies are likely to find anything in their investigations to incriminate the Mohammeds? I want to say this, call hold the line. I always argue that Roger Khan was never prosecuted successfully in this country because Roger Khan was unlike the Commissioner of Police when he was running things in this country. And when you look at the operations of the Mohammed, as a matter of fact, the report claimed that Mohammeds have successfully corrupted several government agencies and operatives in those agencies, including the police, including GRA. Who is investigating who really, and what are they likely to find? I think we might have a bigger cover-up than anything else because people have to CYA. You know what that is, right? Call your life.
Yes, good morning to you and all my others Africans, Guyanese brothers and sisters over there. This morning I'll be reading shortly from 2 pages. The first page, I would like to mention what I heard from my sister Wanda Lane last week. She mentioned something, and it's very, very important for parents. Do not send your children to no pageant this year. If they could find money for that, why they could find money for put school children and teachers?
Seems we have lost the caller. It's a usual thing. Banner Flash, you gotta change your phone.
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, we hearing you. Yeah, we hearing you.
I preach it over and over on this. Sometimes we have to cut our nose to spell our face and said enough is enough. Remember what the American sister said? He whispered and Ella said, you know how long I was watching you? Since 15 years? As they say, it's one Guyana. Let them send them girl child, them young Cody girl for dance and lift them foot up high and let them watch them now. We have to come together and start this nonsense. Don't make people tell you black girl child, them are fools. Now, let me move on quick. From the time coming through the back door, like what Chowdas did. From the time announced that he's not running for leadership, like give young people a chance. Yes, Flat Garden born night, but I born last night. Because why you did not give Jack Dio a chance when Janet Jagan put him up for leader? You run Elder Skelter, but now you want to tell black man. And look what you did. You put 2 black man name up that day for key vote coming. When Frascali encouraged black people, pull back your vote from AFC. You put Nigel Hughes because you know Nigel Hughes popular now. Because I'm fighting, forget what? Prime Minister. And I'm going to fight until the last breath. Abinati must not give AFC no Prime Minister. It is time to acknowledge WPA and give WPA that position. AFC benefit from black people vote all these years, and we in benefit from them party. So we got to continue to call from Amsterdam Vietnam to be the next prime minister. You understand? There is no good. They're fighting to get more seats than PNC. We have to acknowledge that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your call. We have bills to pay over at CAMS TV, right? Don't forget that. I know sometimes I don't like when I talk about that and talk about it in this way. But I have paid political ads to play, so they say the disclaimer is usually the views expressed by these advertisements are not necessarily my view. I'm honoring a contractual agreement.
A lot of what faces and bogs down the party right now is a lot of mindset issues, which I don't believe is appropriate for our time, and it will not be able to attract young people into the leadership of the party and into the direction of where the party is supposed to be going. The reason why I mentioned the Just Come statement, because it's a negative statement. It does not recognize that young people are talented, that young people are mature enough to undertake serious obligations of leadership in the country or even in the party. I recognize experience, I recognize longevity, but as Martin Luther King says, it has its limits. There's a time for longevity. Longevity cannot mean necessarily doing the same thing over and over, adopting the same approaches over and over, because what is coming next is a national and regional election. That is why we focus on the ideas of regrouping, we focus on rebuilding the party in a modern, a new way, a dynamic way.
Call you live.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning to your viewers. I would recommend that you refrain from making or repeating any phrases or statements from people who are involved in extrajudicial killings of a certain group of people. Refrain from it, because the speeches that are the words that are coming from that individual mouth or those individuals, it should not be even uttered, repeated on national TV. Don't do it. Refrain from doing it. If they want to investigate and prosecute people who break the law, they'll do it. They'll take report and act upon it. And obviously, the U.S. will not engage in murders or engage people who are involved in murdering the citizens of their nation. So, hell no. Don't repeat it. If they want to prosecute, they will. It's right there in the face. Do it at home. They know the Customs Department, the police force, the soldiers. They're all involved. They know all the businessmen who are cheating the citizens of Guyana of revenue. They know that. They know who got bank accounts in Barbados, in Dubai, in China, including that diuretic mouth one that pump nonsense every Thursday on national TV using state resources to lather his diuretic mouth on TV. They know who do everything in Guyana. are facts. Don't let them scare you. The truth hurts. That's why they're doing what they're doing. And then when it's election time, pretend that you ain't coming out of government, and then you will see what will happen. You'll get the real treatment. Elections coming. And furthermore, I don't know why the oppositions are allowing this thieving government to be going to Parliament requesting billions of Guyanese taxpayers' money. And then you will cry foul after the fact. It should not be. It should not be. They sit there and then steady to bring press conferences. For what? To talk nonsense all day? And the Guyanese people, the teachers, the nurses, it's Guyanese going through a brain drain right now. Because the U.S. are taking the teachers, nurses, Canada are taking them, the British are taking them. And whilst they're bringing people to, in the institution in Guyana that don't speak English, that's the main thing. Nurses and doctors that speak no English, tending to Guyanese people that speak English and English only. Siphon off the taxpayers' money, pretending to bring in these people, half the people's salary going to whoever brought them, and half going to them. That's what's going on in Guyana. They want no corruption. Go and investigate that. Go and investigate. It's right there in your face. Have a good day, Mr. Gaddafi.
Thank you for your call. Let me say, I'm not a mouthpiece for the miscreants over the PPP, but I have a responsibility to bring news and analysis information to you, the viewers. And so when you hear me say the Barlet tyrant said X, Y, or Z, it's in the interest of bringing that information to you. And like I asked you, let's analyze it. Let's talk about it. That based on those utterances, do you even believe those utterances that the Guyana police force and other agencies will be investigating the Mohammeds based on the US report? And what quality of investigation do you expect? What do you expect to come out of that investigation? Right? So when you hear me repeat certain words, I'm promoting nobody. I'm asking you to analyze, hear the thing, and let's talk about it. Call it live.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Dr. In and out of the diaspora. I want to warn the Guyanese nation in general. My brothers and sisters, I don't care what religion is. I don't care what religion you are. I want to warn the Guyanese brothers and sisters with a righteous mind and heart. Be very careful in how you live. Look before you leave. Because this time, as I said before, is going to be a very crucial time in this country. This 18 months, less than 18 months we got for this election. And nobody knows how to pray before the election. So we all need to be very careful. Be calm as a dove and wise as a serpent. Mr. Gaddafi, I know you have your head on your shoulder, but you know what to say from what not to say. So I don't have to tell you what to say. You already know how to carry yourself. But I'm speaking to the Guyanese in general. Do not allow yourself to be brainwashed by this government, which I know majority of people in and out of the diaspora know that any investigation done in this country by this country would just be a waste of asset or a waste of time gathering information to protect those who know that they are guilty. And exactly what I said before, America can give them no information and give them no contact with them and then farm them. If they want, invite the FBI or the KGB or whatever agency that they think Guyanese in and out of the diaspora may be content to satisfy with to be part of the investigation. Otherwise, it's like a crab in a barrel and everybody fighting for come out. Guyanese, be careful. Because we are sitting on a time bomb that anytime anything can occur. And we want the righteous mind and all the people to stand in their righteousness, peace, love, and unity. Let the wicked fight among themselves. That is, they create a monster, and their own monster going to come after them. Guyanese, be careful. Once again, I'm warning the Guyanese nation, be very careful. Be very careful. Allow what investigation to go on. Support them outside of God to be a part of it. That's what we support him. But otherwise, Mr. Jagdio, you could go ahead. You know where you are. You could go ahead. Guyanese have no problem, but we know what we expect. So come out of it, it's nothing. So Guyanese, God bless this nation. We are going to get this. Stand up in the word of God. Stand up right. Keep your ears high. I have 5 cents on the Lord. Just be on the Lord and be careful. Do not trust Tom, Dick, nor Harry. Be very, very careful. Have a blessed day, Guyanese. We can get there by the grace of God.
Thank you for your call. Yeah, the lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kiraki Amsterdam. 9 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. Let's take our next call. Caller live.
Yes, good morning, Brother Kiraki. Good morning to all listeners. I just want to say something, give a little bit of advice. Those that are involved in whatever this whole fiasco that's going on with the federal government or whatnot, what have you. I've been in this country well over 40 years. One thing I do know, when the federal government comes after you, any type of federal charges, it's always more than a 90% conviction rate. I want to say this. In listening to Jagio yesterday, this man is willing to throw everybody under the bus to save himself. And he's a straight up narcissist. That's all he is. With that said, do not go into any American institution, office, whatever, when they're coming for you and try to defend this man. This is the time where, as we say in the streets here in America, you snitch, because you will not be able to get away from these charges. You're going to go down. So go in there and save the Mohammeds, save the Jagdios, the Alis, the allegedly all these people that are being named, allegedly. Do not save anyone. You will be convicted. Don't do it. Don't go in there trying to be the savior or feel that you can fight the Americans on this one, because you're not. You're going to lose. So I'm just giving you a bit of advice. Whatever you know, let your mouth run. Let your mouth run, because you're going to go down with them, and you don't want to. Me, this is why. This is what we say for people like you. Take one for the team. Take one for your black, your Africans in Guyana. What you've been doing to them for all these years for your greed. Go down. Do your time if you have to. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your call. You see, I that is why I like these discourses. Because it didn't take me to say that from the look of things, the ballad tyrant would throw any and everybody to the wolves to save itself. Right? And that is obvious. Good Sister May has resigned. Good Sister May was sent home from her job because she doesn't want to, because of these serious allegations. And Good Sister May resigned from the party because she doesn't want to bring the party into disrepute. Well, hey, if it's rotten, even the undertakers will tell you, what we call them, the people, morticians will tell you, when the dead start rotting, there ain't much you could do in terms of embalming it, right? The stench is already out there. So I don't know how May saving the PPP from disrepute. The PPP is a notorious criminal outfit. So I don't know May saving them from disrepute. Call it live.
Yeah, good morning, Kadaki, and good morning to all the people listening. You see, it got some callers who came on earlier And I hope the general people could take the advice of what is being handed to them. Especially this last caller. She lives abroad. She knows what goes on outside. Y'all heed these people advice. I know one like me on that pondo. Right now, Barrett got a lot of ignorance selling it all over. But what Barrett didn't realize when I heard, now this last story with Reuters and the Mohammeds. I said, I talked to a friend. Right now, the friend is annoyed with me. Because when I was telling the friend, I said, you see this thing going on? I said, it's only time. I said, when America, when foreign countries do investigations into certain things, they do a thorough investigation. And this madness in front, there is where it shows its done qualities. He got to the ambassador to ask to get things here. America don't know who Guyana is. And America would never submit anything to Guyana other than what they need to submit, like the sanction and the people and the sealed documents where they're going to be open when they know the time is right. So America don't count. A lot of people they jump up when they put in a thing and say that foreigners saying so that America accepting Barack in front because everything what they got, America did it playing in front to bring in front of like when you got the absence of them on board. You put down poultice, castor oil with tree of life leaf, salt, soap, edo and flour you mix up to bring the abscess up. That is what America did with Infront Ali. And Barrett, they were so greedy. But they tell themselves that they had to get the money at all costs. Next thing you know, all the money we see the default from the fund, they're going to have to replace it. The next coming, and all who, that is what I keep asking myself, all those recipients of the richest of the rich is now on a federal investigation in Guyana. He was the action Reuters. They action the federal. Now, Minister Jordan, explain what will happen to you with your passports. I am so scared. I have never flown. And I am afraid now when I go, what are they going to do to pull me? Me heart gone in goodbye. My heart is thing good. Anyway, the things now, last night, Mark revealed that the Cambio license that was given to them from the Bank of Guyana has been suspended. So they could no longer do Cambio in Guyana. And as what he said, the far-reaching, because it was being debated where Mohammed's got a lot of things globally that's outside in the world. So I wonder, and all those global connections will have to cease being in company with him because they will be sorted out thoroughly by America. You know, when you watch that people say, that envy a man for what he got. You don't know we do forget it. Many people may have envied this man for all that he got. You see where it has led to? But you let me stay with me 1 and 2 and make my life able to see. This is a lesson to all people out there to see what greed would cause. And I think heads might start. Oh God, don't let say the word. I think that when people get back against the wall, they just move into other areas. So people, our Guyanese, Africans, I beg y'all, stay clear. Stay clear. Because lots of you may be dragged in innocently. Because if I was accustomed to counting billions and I can't get it, I might be looking for those people who I assisted to come to my aid in whatever way possible. So lots of you may be teetering on a cliff on the Kaituro Falls. I got a friend who told me, after all, you gotta remember, Muhammad is doing good things for people, and they don't feel that Muhammad should be doing. Lastly, Tuesday when I came from protest, I met one of my neighbors, the $40,000 PPP. She said to me, oh God, Randy, here what happened, so what happened? She said, all the money, what we supposed to get, it's dang the news we gonna get the money. Whole thing did know she air finance, but she didn't hear forward the said breaking news and said, what? I said, I gotta listen to Mark tonight. Not knowing was the unfolding of the bringing down of the big dynasty in Guyana.
Thank you, Rondo.
When did it seize the vehicle? They would have left them vehicle like rotten, because when the vehicle it was being sent well struck to give off more information to the investigators. That's my time.
Thank you, Rondo. Let me say, you know, sometimes I marvel at the mind of Rondo. You Rondo said if she were the owner of that vehicle when the US had launched, she would have. When the guy in the police force arrested me, I had a pair of AirPods. Yeah, I don't know if it's new generation, old generation. New generation, the short one. I had a pair of AirPods. And the guy in the police force collected it. In fact, they collected one. It's at CID headquarters. Since I'm out on bail and all of that, I have the right to go and collect my AirPod and thing. But me, they could keep that. They could keep that. I don't care how safe you all tell me it's safe. I'm of the firm opinion that they will tamper with it. Let me be extreme here. At minimum, they will tamper with it and listen to conversations. At maximum, it could be an explosive device. I don't put anything beyond these people. They're wicked and they're criminal in their behavior and criminal in their intent. So keep that in mind. Like I said, it's 2 minutes past 8 o'clock hour. We're supposed to have guests at 8 o'clock. And so we're going to make way for the guests. Let me tell you, once our guests leave, then we'll return to quote-unquote normal programming. Let me acknowledge the contribution of Brent Null. Thank you, Brent Null, for dropping the thing in the Cash App this morning. And Mosi, thank you for dropping the thing in the Cash App this morning. Those of you who have Zelle, you can go over to Zelle and drop something too, you know. Like my good friend and colleague would say, this thing don't run for water. What y'all think is win this thing running on? You need to fuel the struggle. You need to fuel the fight, right? Well, Keith is suggesting I pick them up and throw them away. I'm suggesting that I don't even pick them up. What do you think, why? What y'all think I should connect them? Of course, I've disconnected it from my device because, again, I was saying, listen, let me explain. I said they collected one side of it. I have the other side and the charging case. But I'm of the opinion that this thing could be connected via the internet and listened to. Y'all call me paranoid. And so as far as I'm concerned, I don't even want to collect it because, like I said, it could be an explosive. It could convert to an explosive. This is serious warfare going on. It could become a chemical weapon. It could become all kinds of things. Right? So as far as I'm concerned, they could keep it there. They got more where to come from. Eventually, we're going to buy more. Right? So don't worry yourself with the thing, man. Left it there. For God's sake. Left it there. Good. It's 8 o'clock. I have, this is Mr. Mentor. Is it?
Yes, you're correct.
Good morning to you, sir. How you do?
Good morning to you. I'm all right, my buddy. How everything with you?
I'm good, you know. You're live on CAMS TV. Thank you for joining us this morning. Do you have friends coming along?
I I expect another colleague of mine, So she should be here momentarily.
All right. Well,
So
we'll talk in the meantime. We'll talk in the meantime. How you been? They say every long rope has an end. Have we seen an end to the custodial battles over the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Union?
I would put it this way in Okedaki. As some people say, they know till the fat lady sings. And right about now, the fat lady, she has only seen one part of the score sheet. Our erstwhile colleagues have since appealed the judge's decision, and this matter is to be heard on September, I think it's the 8th or the 18th. So that is to give you an update on the unrivaled quest for power on the part of some people.
All right, so we're hearing that this matter has ended, but has not ended because there's round 2 and 3 and 4 to be entered into, because there's now an appeal that will be heard sometime in September. But the reality is, Team Ben was given the go-ahead by the courts to, quote-unquote, take managerial control of the Ghana Public Service Credit Union some 2 months ago. Am I right?
Correct. That's very correct. And we have not been sitting on our hands. We have been doing all that we can, all that is possible, in the interest of our members. Okay. You would hear that, or you will have heard that we have put in place new loan facilities. We have introduced low-cost mortgages, low-cost vehicles, secured loans, and we have been looking at changes in our loan policy. Those are some of the things that we have been doing, and quite frankly, we refuse to be hampered by the machinations of persons who are visionless. One of the things we've been... Pardon me?
Sorry,
yes.
I know you're, as they say, I know you're ready to blow your horns. But hear me. I want to know this. What has been the response of the membership of the union? Union since the quote-unquote change in managerial control. What has the response been? Have you seen a growth?
Why are you attempting to preempt me? Why are you attempting to preempt me? Okay, since the court gave its approval for us to take office, we have had no less than 1,375 members, right? Benefiting from guarantor and character loans, okay? And these have totaled $801 million. We have given 143 vehicle loans. They have been approved. 14 mortgages were approved. And we got 280 new members. I think it should be more by now, who have joined. There are others who have expressed an interest in becoming a member of the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union. And but for the most part, a lot of our significant number of those persons who have expressed an interest are members of the private sector, or are who are not members of the public sector. Even some past members have been clamoring to rejoin the credit union because it is their contention that they removed themselves because of the way the credit union was being, the affairs were being handled. And therefore, we have this groundswell, if you will, of public support and sentiment, where the members seem very much inclined to accept that their affairs are in good hands.
Good. Let me ask you this. You mentioned that you're having a lot of interest shown by people who are not public servants. Is there any provision for those people to join the credit union? Are there any provisions?
No, actually, we are constrained by a common bond, which says that you are a member of the public service, or would have been a member of the public service, meaning that you would have been a member, but then you might have resigned or retired. That means you're no longer a member of the public service, but you still remain a member of the credit union. One of the things that we have introduced is the early savers facility, where members with minors up to the age, we will say up to the age of 18, they are joined, they become a member and an early savers, and when they reach 18, if they are in the private sector, they remain a member of the credit union, because they will be having savings will be put in there by their parents, their guardians, or whomever.
I follow you. So if you become a member of the credit union as an early saver, regardless of whether you stay, when you become the age of adulthood, when you get into the employment, the world of work, as we say, you will remain a member even if you choose to go work in the private sector. That's what I'm understanding, right?
Definitely.
Good. And so that's encouraging, because a lot of people would like to be members of the Public Service Co-op Credit Union who are in the private sector. And I know a lot of people regret not being able to join the Public Service Co-op Credit Union. And so if that's an avenue by which they can, the new generation, let me say, can join, I think that's forward thinking, and that must be encouraged. You mentioned a change in loan policy. Could you share with us what those changes are?
Yes. Now we are offering to our members loans for vehicles. Formerly, we had loans for vehicles from 2014, let's say up to about 8 to 10 years old. And they will have been qualified for $5 million once their salary and other criteria were met.
How much you were qualified? I didn't hear that about clearly.
$5 million.
$5 million.
$5 million. Yes. Now, what we have done, we have raised the age of the car, so to speak, or the vehicle for which you might want to purchase. We have raised it to a 15-year limit for that vehicle. Why? You want a vehicle to take you from point A to point B. You're looking for a Lamborghini on those cars. You're looking for something to transport you. And therefore, by raising it to 15 years, automatically, it is reasonable to expect that the price would not be competing with the prices, would not be the high range prices as the other cars that are lesser in years. And therefore, any person wanting a car 15 years, they are offered $2.5 million. That depends again on their ability, their creditability in terms of how they can repay it, because we don't want to encourage people to take loans which will put them in harm's way financially, where they cannot afford to repay their loans, where they run into all kinds of financial problems. And our hope is that through our counseling and financial advice, that our members would be financially prudent. Okay, so those are two. One is reduced to the years have extended to 15 years, and you could expect $2.5 million, or you find a car even less costly. But another thing that we've done is we are encouraging members to form themselves into groups of 4 or 5, where they would be mutual guarantors to each other, right? Because as you might have been hearing, there there is a cry by members where they are arguing that the guarantor requirements are too onerous, okay? And therefore, we, in an effort to address these concerns, obviously, we must let them know, or we must reinforce in their minds that that money is not my money, it is our money. And therefore, we would expect that we recognize, appreciate, and respect the fact that when you take a loan, it affects the monies and the shares of other members. And therefore, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to do your level best to repay. However, because of the fact that it's a risk, and because of the fact that it's other members' money, including your own, we want to ensure that we are secure, that the risk is minimized in terms of delinquency and defaulting on loans. And therefore, we've encouraged that they form themselves into groups of 5 where they mutually guarantee each other. Of course, this guarantors would only exist or apply to those in their respective groups. And you would not be expected to go out of your group to guarantee another person or expect somebody from out of your group. I think somebody from out of your group could guarantee you. They might not be in another group, but we've got to be able to assess these things carefully. And we need to give the assurance to our members that we're doing all that we possibly and humanly can to safeguard their monies, right? Another thing we've done is that we have introduced a system where members will be able to access their first loan after 3 months of consecutive deductions after they join. Okay? Formally, it used to be after 6 months. We've cut that in half. Good? And the first loan to a member shall not exceed an amount which is 3 times the value of his or her ordinary savings. Okay? And this is up to a limit of $300,000. All right? So those are the things that we are looking at. And we're also introducing that with the first loan may refinance that once they have passed 6 months of repayment from the day on which the loan was first granted. Once 6 months have passed, they can refinance their loan, right? A guarantor loan, as I mentioned before, but in this case, additionally, a member will be able to access a guarantee loan of 3 times the saving. All right. So that too is another one. I've mentioned the group guarantor. Good. But I need to add that members will be able to access a group guarantor from between $300,000 to $2 million. The amount of the group is qualified for of the group members. Right. So those are things that we intend to address. We are looking at compiling, or we are in the process of compiling a list of frequently asked questions. And we have the frequently asked questions and the answers to those questions there, which we'll put on the website. Now, we have found also, just to your earlier question, where our members have been asking questions, a lot of questions. And what we have found is that a member may ask one question today, and another member would ask the same question tomorrow, while we have already given an answer. And that is one of the reasons for having this FAQ. Good. Another thing that we've done to address members' queries and members' concerns, we have established WhatsApp groups in every region. Now, these WhatsApp groups will be populated by members who work and reside in the different regions. And we also have a committee member who is responsible each committee member is responsible for a region, and those members' names and numbers are in the groups. So members also have the opportunity to ask questions privately. I agree with that. Sometimes I want to ask a question, and I don't need everyone to know my business. And then I would reach out to Kedaki, who is the committee member responsible for Region 2, or I reach out to Ms. Natalia Marks, who is the supervisor for the regional representatives. Each region has a representative member. That's what an aside the committee or management member has a representative member who is, in theory, supposed to be accessible by members at material times. We're not talking about after the person have gone to bed, but at material times to answer questions, to send queries, and to respond to anything of interest that members might raise. Okay, so we are seeking, as far as practicable, to ensure that the members are satisfied, that they're comfortable. But I'll say this: we can offer the world to human beings, but if the system, if the processes are not geared to satisfy those needs, we, as the people say, we ain't cooking with gas. If, for example, a member wants to apply for a loan, a member applies for a loan, but in the member's mind, they are not guaranteed a smooth process. We need to understand where in this process flow there are inhibitors, there are obstacles, so that we can correct it. And therefore, one of the things that we've also done is to seek to have process flow charts developed for each department within the credit union. Now, one of the things that I think you would agree with me, Kedaki, is that human beings, when they are confronted with the change, they either become passively resistant or actively resistant. And therefore, we have been trying to ensure that we have the buy-in and the ownership of our initiatives, right? Like the process flow chart, the reason, because people must know exactly what their role is in the general scheme of things and how their role or functions or duties contribute to the achievement of the department goal and ultimately the credit union's goals and objectives. So we have been doing that, and along that same vein, we have been seeking to ensure that we have a firm grip in terms of our understanding of what each department does in that regard, and therefore we've asked for a desk audit questionnaire to be distributed where we can have a feel of how the employees, their perception of things, and to determine in what way they can be able to contribute their own skill sets that are separate and apart from what they're doing. Let me put it this way. If I join somewhere as an employee, but I might have just become a cashier, but I also have skills such as a graphic design artist and stuff like that, and the organization wants to put out a marketing plan which requires the use of a graphic design artist, I see nothing wrong in co-opting, of course, with some recompense, that employee who has the skill. To my mind, it is impractical, I will say responsible, to go outside to get somebody to do that when you might have an employee. That might have been it's an example that I'm using, right? You might have somebody who's skilled in doing something, which brings me to the point where we have to, I think, in all facets of this country, look at developing not skills inventory for organizations. So we know, I mean, these are things that can happen in communities where you can develop a skill and asset inventory. So you know in times of need to turn, and that macro concept is what we would like to have introduced in our own micro situation.
Thank you for that explanation. It is now 25 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. I don't see your partner. Let me say that, your colleague, just yet. But let's continue to talk.
Maybe it was not communicated to her.
All right, let's talk about.
Let me talk.
Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to speak about the mortgage loan ceiling and interest rates, if you will permit me. Now,
sure, go
the
ahead.
residential mortgage, yeah, the residential mortgage ceiling, as I said, the residential mortgage ceiling will be increased from $15 million to $20 million, right? And that would be what we would call a low-income mortgage or a moderate-income mortgage. Okay. No, I'm wrong. Residential mortgage will be increased from 15 to 20, right? And we'll be giving a loan moratorium of up to 3 months. I'll tell you why we before you can pay the first installment. Now, a lot of people are paying rent, and then they are required to repay the installments of the loan while paying rent concurrently. And therefore, we recognize the financial burden that requirement places on the members, and therefore we've decided we are giving a 3 months moratorium. When you get the loan, you get 3 months from the time of its approval, but you don't pay that you don't pay installment, right? Because you might be paying a rent. Well, in this case, where they pay a rent or not, you're entitled to the moratorium. All right. And just if we were to look at loan categories, right? We call low income mortgages from 0 to 5 million. Annual interest rate is 3%. And I must say that we are asking the lowest interest rates in this country. Then you may have moderate income mortgage, which from $5 million to $9 million and 3.5%. Then you have middle income mortgages, 9 million to 12 million, 3.75%. High income mortgages from 12 million to 20 million, 5.06%. All right. So those are the things that I can recall at the moment that our members need to know. And they need to remember we are there, committee members are there, the employees who are hardworking are there to respond to their every need. So, you know, that's it. We are looking at making the credit union more efficient, more effective, and more responsive to its membership. And therefore, at some point, we may have to seriously consider restructuring as a concept in terms of how we do things.
Thank you. It's 28 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. We're chatting with Mr. Mentor. Mr. Mentor, you're the vice chairman, I think, of the credit union. Am I right?
Yes, Kedaki, you're correct.
Good. Right, so we're talking with Vice Chairman Mentor of the Guyana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. That's the managerial team which has been there for the last 2 months now, or back in action for the last 2 months now. And I have no doubt that listening to what I've heard, things are moving apace. Ray Andres is asking if the credit union has a financial advisor. That would be my final question for the day. Does the credit union have a financial advisor?
We have persons who are equipped with the necessary knowledge. However, that is not to say that we are not open to seeking financial advice or advice on our initiatives.
Thank you.
The person is justifying the question by saying they don't think a person should have a $3 million loan to buy a car, to drive around and don't have a house. I guess it comes down to personal choice at the end of the day, because the credit union, the member of the credit union has a right to decide what is his or her priority. The credit union might be able to say, well, we're offering mortgages, we're offering loans to homes and so on. But if the person needs a car and they think that that's their priority, so be it. Right? So
But
that's
you know,
reality.
the question has a point. However, if we have somebody outside who advising us, okay, but in terms of members coming from, obviously, I think members would expect us to say to them, look, do you have your own home? I think we've been doing that. I don't know how focused the interactions have been, but we set out to ensure that our members are prudent in their financial dealings and that they have their priorities in order. Of course, you can't force the priorities on them, but we want to ensure that at least they have some modicum of prioritizing their financial interests.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Mentor, once more. If you have any closing remarks, I'll give you a few minutes to do that. If there's anything that I did not allow you to say that you wish to say.
I would like to say on behalf of the chairman and other members of the Committee of Management that we were elected to serve. I did not thank the members who gave their overwhelming support to electing us to office. I did not. I do so now. Forgive me for overlooking it. We thank those members for expressing their confidence in terms of their attendance at the special general meeting and their votes that they cast to elect us to office. And I'd like to end by saying that being there as members of the Committee of Management is in itself a privilege with responsibility, and not a privilege for perks, right? As a matter of fact, one of the things that we have done, we have reduced this whole question of overseas trips, where we might have had 6 directors, as they call themselves, directors or committee members going to and coming back without giving even a report. We have reduced that to a member and an employee, or a committee member and an employee. But we have been seeking to have more meaningful involvement of members in the decision making or in participating in certain things that were previously held away from them, that were seen as a privilege of a few, right? And we are insisting that when people go on courses or training or conferences, when they return, they must have a report which aids in knowledge management for the credit union. Because we don't want people to believe, as an old start mindset, that when they go there and they come back, they must keep things in their head. As one committee member of the past committee said to me, that she had everything in her head, but because of circumstances, she has not been able to share it. Well, you could imagine what I thought after that. But the whole idea is that this thing is not a mom and pop store. This is something that is there for the members, and any knowledge you gain through expenditure from the credit union must be brought back. It must be shared. It must be retained for the use by the credit union.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kedaki.
Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again, or some other representative of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union, coming to keep the viewers updated as to what's happening over there. I wish you success. I wish you success.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you very much, Kedaki. Thank you. You have a good day too.
Thank you. For those, I see somebody is asking if a non-member private sector worker can access loans at the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. No, it's a sector co-op. I think I use the right term there. It's a sector co-op. You have to be, first and foremost, a member of the public service to be able to join the credit union, right? And only if you're a member of the credit union can you access its facilities. Good. So keep that in mind. But there's a route by which you can become a member if you're not in the public sector. But you have to start from a child, because there's the early savers facility now. And so if your parent or parents are members of the co-op, they can join you in the early savers facility, and you will grow with the early savers. You will go with the co-op credit union. And so when you get to adulthood, you work in the private sector, you would have already established that relationship with the public service co-op credit union based on your lineage. And so you get to stay as a member of the co-op, right? Otherwise, you can't become a member of the co-op unless you're public servant. Then you can't benefit from the facilities unless you are a member. Good. It's now 25 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. Let's pay some bills. This is a paid political ad. Then we'll go back to talking the things, right?
A lot of what faces and bogs down the party right now is a lot of mindset issues, which I don't believe is appropriate for our time, and it will not be able to attract young people into the leadership of the party and into the direction of where the party is supposed to be going. The reason why I mentioned the Just Come statement, because it is a negative statement. It does not recognize that young people are talented, that young people are mature enough to undertake serious obligations of leadership in the country or even in the party. I recognize experience, I recognize longevity, but as Martin Luther King says, it has its limits. There's a time for longevity. Longevity cannot mean necessarily doing the same thing over and over, adopting the same approaches over and over, because what is coming next is a national and regional election. That is why we focus on the ideas of regrouping, we focus on rebuilding the party in a modern, a new way, a dynamic way.
You're tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time. Here's a voice note.
Good morning, Brother Kidaki. Morning. Welcome to your program, man. Now, Brother Kidaki, see this guy Jagio? This guy Jagio, he talk so much so he talk out the old senses. Jagio is the man who have this whole country in uproar right now. Jagio is the man, the one man show where he just got on a Thursday talking a lot of bullshit, a lot of bull crap. Look at it yesterday. He get caught left, right, and center yesterday. Now listen to you. He contradicted your own self yesterday, just imagine. He calling on the US for sending names about the people them. Come on, bro. You have United States of America interfering you one of your biggest problem in this country, eh? Yeah? You're ripping out this country every minute of the day. You and your acolytes them. And you don't know who involved in skullduggery and all this scam that's going on in this country. Come on, bro. Jagio is a kingpin of everything that's going on in this country. He's a kingpin. You understand me? And I feel so sorry that the American put him up on E-Force. He was the first man that the American government supposed to put him up on, you understand me? But I know what they're doing. America smart. America giving you a long rope for hang himself, you know, man, like we do yesterday. You know, I disgraced this country yesterday, and I want everybody to open their eyes in this country and see that this guy Jagio is no good for Guyana. They're hearing all the time. Look how much years people talking about this PPP government. And look that they expose themselves now. You know, everything that African people talking, African program raise about Jack Dio, most of the Indian condemn it. I hope that they don't condemn it now, because everything that they was hearing about come to light now. Everything that they was hearing and seeing about Jack Dio, they see it blatant in front of their eyes now. I hope that they will come to subjection that this man is a man that causing all the problem in this country. Jack Dio need to be hanged in jail. That is what Jack Dio need to be in. Understand me? Jack Dio is one of the most evilest man in this whole hemisphere. Look at this guy. Look at his face yesterday. You can see the guilt print all over his face yesterday. Look at this man. Look at his man attitude. Yesterday press conference was a different press conference than ever. Look at this man attitude. Look at this man face. Oh my God. These people are some evil set of people. And you know what happened? Enough is enough, man. This is the time. This is the day and the time that the Lord has made, that all of us African people and some Indian people that want to see the back of this guy, man. Let us rejoice and be glad in it, man, This is the time, man. This is the moment, man. Big up to all social media, especially Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke is a general in all of this. He's a general. He's a co-pilot. He's an engineer. He's everything towards what happening in Guyana right now with this PPP installed government. This wicked and racial and covetous and long-hearted PPP government, especially Jack Dio, the Nandalal, and the Hali. Hali was a wicked man since he was small. I meet up with one, his family, a woman. She told me about this man. They said the father and the mother is very good people, but Ali was wicked one since he's small. Look at the attitude, man. Look at the attitude. Look at his style, man. Look at this man. This man is no good for Guyana. This man is a disgrace of this nation. He disgraced the Muslim organization. He disgraced all the organization in the country that was following this guy, man. He's a wicked guy, man. All of them, yeah. All of them. If each and every one of them. Each and every one of them, and this is the time. As I say, this is the time, this is the day, and this is the time that the Lord has made. That all of us rejoice and be glad in it, Kidaki. Kidaki, big up yourself. Kidaki is one of the most leading, intelligent, brilliant, most successful program you have right now. This is a program that goddamn running scared by the Kidaki. Keep up. Big up to Mr. Hines. Big up to Dr. Hines. Big up to Dr. Hines. Dr. Hines is a doctor with not no question mark. Mr. Hines is a bigger. Big up Mr. Hines. Big up Mr. Hines at all times. His program was very, very educational. Lasted on the night before. And always big up yourself, man. Man. Big up. Big up to the WPA. Big up Mr. Tokoma Gunsi. Big up all the time, Brother Kidaki. Big up. Love you all, man. Man. You have a blessed day, man.
Thank you for your voice note and your big ups. Like you had a laugh, because this got to be a laugh. Someone sent me 3 voice notes, right? One is 5 minutes long, the other is 4, and the other is 3. That's a total of 12 minutes, 27 seconds. I'm going to play the last one.
Black people attacking to African Guyanese like myself. Don't let we strip it ourselves. Vote Simona Brooms, Bartishon, coming to Congress, carry out.
Let's tell you something. I'm being very honest. If you advertising a patron, a candidate for the elections, you all have to pay. This is an equal opportunity station this morning. I can't have one set of people putting that thing in the kitty for the advertisement and the other people doing it free. No, I won't allow it. Let's listen to the other voice.
Mr. Kadoki, morning. Again. Mr. Kadoki, APNU have a lot of failures in position, Failures upon failures. They are talking about the PPP, friends, family, and favorite. APNU, people in Magic does the same, Mr. Kadoki. There, I follow your program. All program. And let me tell you this. I tell Mark Benchka piece across because he talk about Norton. But let me tell you something. Mark Benchka, when I look wrong at Mr. Norton and he follow us them and the people that he want to put in position, these people was there and I heard. I was right there in me want to talk because nothing if I talk, You know, nothing for me gonna be in jeopardy. But these people that each man having as PNC chairman and this PNC and Adams and them, these people was putting money in non-packet, a coolie man name non and coolie people packet. Can when they're going up, Bowman giving them money for fuel and all these things to go on campaign. When they go and get in power, they turn their back on Bowman. They give an Indian man, I can't mean no name, but I could take picture and send it to you. I don't care who listening. For building 99 step, they give Bowman a contract. They giving a PPP people place of weed, the bushes, shoulders the road with the bushes. They man give black people nothing. And they're in there again. And then not one is same people to go back in there. Mr. Kadoki, I feel PPP had a chance, APNU had a chance, AFC had a chance, and AFC supposed to go individually and establish coalition thing or coalesce with ANOC and let we knock PNC out and PPP out because they already have the chance. WPA, AFC, and ANOC collate and knock PNC and PPP out because they already have the chance and they already feel the feeling that because black people is APNU, black people going to stand up to nonsense all the time. But there is one black woman that stand up to nonsense all the time. I born an APNU, I grew an APNU, and I could switch from APNU because what I see Narton doing is stupidness. You hear? What Narton doing is stupidness. Narton and Mans and all of them need to go on the bus, man. I could try with Simona Brooms because she make a lot of advantage to take pun women. And people need to give Simona Brooms a chance. Vote for Simona Brooms because.
Next voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Himes. Good morning, viewers. I agree with the caller, the just call. When this investigation start, they better speak the truth. Speak the truth, because if you don't speak the truth, you're going to go down. Just like how Jaguar and his cohorts is going to go down. They better look and see the people that was trying for life for Trump. What happened to them? How many of them was prosecuted and sent to jail? His lawyer, for example, was one. So, Guyanese, you people better do the right thing. The PPP have to go. They're no good. That's my take for today.
Thank you for that voice note, and I like it. It's concise. Yeah. To the point. Let's do that. Let's use more to the point voice notes. On the lane, you call this program already. Why are you still sending a voice note? Voice note here.
My name is Kadaki and the listening viewers. My contribution this morning is that when you dig a hole or a grave, they say, you make sure you dig two graves. And with the PPP, when was the election time? You're hearing about a lot of sanction. Sanction. Some of them even don't know to pronounce the word sanction properly. Sanction. And all the guardians of democracy was out there. But now they're hiding under rocks. They're not talking. And there's an example for the bogus ruling party supporters to see what sanction really mean from the thief and cronies. And apart from that, US gonna get all those who participate in theft, because that is what they're accustomed to. It's in the DNA. But nevertheless, rain don't fall on one man doorstep, and they're getting a dose of what they've been calling for with a legal and legit coalition government that was doing good when we never had high money in our hands. So it's a lesson that we must learn. And one thing I always said, participate in seeing right and saying is wrong. And people got to desist from stuff like that. Wrong is wrong, right is right. Every rope got a end. And there's a ending. They gotta try with the nonsense. That is my contribution this morning. And one thing more I have to say. I always mention that every time the PPP in office, they got visa revoked and sanctions like these come down. And the police commissioner is not exceptional. I always said I could remember about 3 police commissioner visa being revoked. They didn't do half of the thing that Clifford Dickens doing. And he must take note. Thank you so much.
What he has always to say, I mean, the U.S. Embassy and so they treat these visa revocations as personal and private matters, and so we can wonder. I wonder if Clifton Hickens's visa is intact or it has been revoked. I haven't heard for the longest while as commissioner or acting commissioner, whatever his role is. I haven't heard Clifton Hickens traveling to go any place. Not for a course, not for a vacation, not for anything. So, you know, that the caller mentioned it. I wonder, can the police PR stand Gavayo and this guy Ramata, whatever your name, hey, y'all could tell me if Clifton Hickens' visa is still intact or if that has been revoked too? Because based on these allegations, I've seen a photograph, for example, with Clifton Hickens and Azruddin Mohammed. Did the U.S. pay attention to that photograph? Because the U.S. says that the Mohammed's enterprise was able to influence, quote unquote, corrupt police officers and customs officers and so on and so forth. So is it possible that Hickens has paid a price with his visa? I don't know. I'm asking. Right? Anybody has that answer? Y'all could share it with me. Voice note.
My name is
Voice note.
Amsterdam. In order for Ghana to grow, the PPP have to go. Imagine for the last 21 years, the PPP was in office for 27 of those years. And they cannot fix the gold smuggling problem. I mean, if you have 27 years to fix it and you can't fix it, it's obvious you need to come out of power. What Jagdio and them taking taxpayer money every month, taxpayer paying a large amount of money, and you can't deal with the smuggling situation. Look the level of revelation that we get from the US right under them. Why is it these guys, what they're doing with the taxpayer money? Now, look at this. Do you know we politicians? This revelation come out 2024. As first 10 minutes of the press conference, the man gone talking about 2016, 8 years ago. We want to know what's going on now. That is to show that the PPP have to go in order to Guyana to grow. Now, if the PPP was serious about this whole situation, they would use the information that is in that US report and do the investigation. Why you want to get information from America? America, they in America, and them get the information. You right here, send your people them that you say is capable from the terror police, all of them. If they are capable, let them go and investigate and come up with the same thing that the American come up with, and even more. If the PPP is serious pertaining to this report, they would call the Federal Bureau of Investigation to continue investigating this matter, and who got to go down. But no, they say, oh no, we're going to send to ask them to give us the information that they have. No, you in Guyana, you are the law enforcement. For the last 31 years of Guyana history, you're in power for 27 years. You should have capable people in place and people who are not corrupt to find and investigate this matter. Or if you don't have the means, call the FBI, let them do the investigation. If they're serious, that's what they will do. But come to think about it, They will never call the FBI to investigate. They never called during the Henry boys. They never called during Paper Shots murder. Now that the close associates are involved in this, not under the sun. If we're waiting for the PPP government to call the FBI to investigate this matter, can't eat with dinner in Guyana.
Thank you for that voice note. I'm going to bust your bubble just now, you know. Y'all give me a minute to play voice notes, but I'm going to bust your bubble. Here go. Y'all going to hear story just now. I think it's just a thing that's happened, though. Y'all going to hear story just now. I'm trying to get his voice note playing. In the meantime, y'all drop something in the Zelle and cash up them, man. Voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki and listeners. With all that is going on today, some serious questions should be asked. First, who is responsible for the days of the Troubles, whereby more than 400 persons were murdered? Who is responsible for Courtney Crummy Wings murder? Who is responsible for the Henry brothers murder? And why did the government refuse international help? Why was Oren Boston murdered? Why was Ed Lee murdered? Who or what organization has a reason for all of these murders and incidents that occurred? Why under this administration are drugs, gold smuggling, and human trafficking allowed to go on with impunity? And the list can go on and on. These are some pretty serious questions we need to consider.
Indeed, these are some pretty serious questions, but the answer's right there. I don't know why you did scholars asking me why. We can't stay at the why stage all the time. We know what the answers are. If you're dealing with a criminal organization in government, what do you expect to flourish under them? Not crime? Vice note, yeah?
Karaki, a pleasant and a wonderful good morning. Karaki, this tune that the PPP, the installed PPP regime serve, is the worst term in the history of Guyana politics. Karaki, the PPP treat the African in Guyana like dogs. Dogs. I'm listening to Bharat Jagdir on his press conference. Bharat Jagdir, like the reality hit him. He realized that they do have no legs to stand on. None whatsoever. But that is just the smoke. And you can only lie for some people, but you can't lie for all people. So, watch, and you will see how things will start unfolding slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Have a blessed one, my brother.
Thank you for that voice note. Let me tell you something. I said I'm going to bust your back just now. I'm not a betting man, but I'm willing to bet Jagdio surviving at least at the next election. Huh? Like the previous, like a caller said earlier, Jagdio is willing to throw everybody under the bus to save itself. Everybody under the bus to save itself, not to say itself. That ballet tyrant, right? Itself. Horse trading. It's part of the US policies and politics, man. What you gonna give us in exchange for your freedom by? Take all them white black, I take them. I don't want no more, I take them. Right? Some serious indictments, I think, have already been made by the US government. I believe so. There are others to come, I believe so. But Guyanese, please, I'm begging you, don't sit back, relax, and think that because of what the US government is doing now, or what the US government is doing now is enough to remove the PPP from power. It is the people, it is the voters, it is the citizens who ultimately have that responsibility to remove the PPP from power. The US is signaling to the Guyanese people that, hey, we have found that your government in the PPP is no good for you. We have found that they're no good for the country. They have the country corruption from top to bottom. You have lost, in one instance, $50 million US in taxes. And that is from only one gold dealer. The Ballet Tyrant yesterday mentioned another man, Tameshwar Jagmohan. He is, I think Winston Jordan hinted that he doesn't believe the Mohammeds are the biggest gold dealers in this country. There's another person. Well, Jagdio named the other person yesterday as Tameshwar Jagmohan. And so while there has been no indictment from the US of Jagmohan's operation, you and I know that there have been public spats in this country between Mohammeds and Jagmohan over who robbing the system, who cheating the system, who evading taxes and so on. Right? And so since the PPP is a friend and crony government, and all of this information is coming out, May Thomas, imagine May Thomas, an executive member of the PPP, caught in this corruption. Remember the girl from Vice News, catching Jagdio in a lie on corruption, right? There is a video circulating alleging that two US investors are accusing Jagdio. The video is making those allegations. But all in all, if you look around the society, you are seeing every day that, as the Jamaicans say, if you not see close to so, corruption is the order of the day in this government. The US government is saying that to Guyanese. Look, we got evidence that this is what these people are allowing to happen to your resources. This is what these people are involved in. The onus is on you, the citizens of the country, to remove them. How can you remove them? By the ballot or the bullet. That's a term that has been associated with governments and democracy and dictatorship since I was a boy. I'm not inventing it. Governments are changed by the ballot or the bullet. Which is the preferred method? The ballot. And so Guyanese have a responsibility to vote overwhelmingly at the next elections to get rid of the PPP. But like I usually say, voting alone is not your only responsibility, because voting alone is not going to ensure the sanctity of your vote. You have to also be vigilant. You have to also ensure that your vote is respected. How do you do that? By ensuring first and foremost that there are systems in place to ensure that one man, one vote, to ensure that only one vote, only one man, one vote, that there is no multiple voting, that there are no fraudulent votes. And so you have to ensure that a clean and credible list is provided for the election. So this is not a time to sit down and jump up, sit down and say, yeah, the US got them, the US got them, yeah, the US exposing them, yeah, they're going to go to jail, yeah. This is the time to agitate for a clean voters list, for free, fair, and credible elections. shout hard enough, the US might hear you, and the US might say, here, unless you all at GCOMs, Auntie Claudette, the woman who has lost all her integrity, sitting at GCOMs there with the PPP, if you don't toe the line, we're going to pull you visa too, we're going to sanction you too. Vishnu, whatever your name, as chief elections officer, if you don't give the people free, fair, and credible elections, we're going to sanction you too. Commissioners, all of y'all were sitting around the table there, we're going to sanction y'all too. If Guyanese make enough noise, maybe, just maybe, the US will hear your cries and indicate by sanctions or threats of sanctions to those at GCOM that you all need to fix this thing. This must remain a democracy, one man, one vote. And so don't sit, like I say, don't sit comfortably and say that, yeah, the US got them. The US ain't got them. Unless you do your part, they ain't going no place. I guarantee you. Jagio is going to horse trade as much as he could horse trade. You would say the old generation and next generation to remain free of any such charges, or worse yet, finding himself in an orange jumpsuit for corruption across the globe. It is 9 minutes, it's 6 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. Why y'all still calling? What, y'all didn't want to come out of this program? It's Friday, I just got cooking, so call you live.
Morning, Kedak. Morning. And yes, more people need to go out and join with Rwanda. And you there?
Yes, we are here. We're listening to you and see
sorry about that. More people need to go out and join with Rwanda, and others. But quickly, remember the other day I asked a question if there is a law or anything like that in Guyana about making the person, a corrupt person, unbankable. But it's something I'm sure it's going to happen to the market. You see, everybody's dropping there, right? Remember, we got a few banks over there with international connection, international head office. I guess they're going to drop them too. The local banks like the Bihari Bank, I guess they're going to drop them too, because remember the problem that they had, that court run-ins when I'm trying to remember when they were asked to put banking information on these corrupt people, and they had a whole set of court run-ins. They will not fall into this melee. And I'm sure the Mohammed's will soon be made unbankable. And I want the others to see it. Pulling visas alone is not good enough. We got to, when you talk about sanction, you got to sanction them for even spending a cent overseas. Even surviving any way, shape, or form. You got to hit them where it hurts. And this is what we need, sanctions like that we need. Hit them where it hurts. Yesterday, Jagio committed himself because he said, I will check all of my overseas bank account. A public official like him with overseas bank account for what? For what? Everybody talking about him, Swiss company. He committed to his overseas bank account. People them hear it? Did his people them hear it? The propaganda about Burnham and Swiss account, right? But about Jagio accepted, said that he got overseas bank account. So people, y'all listen, under the line, over the line, and read under the line, over the line, in the middle of the line. So a lot of them will be made out bank account. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your call. Well, the fact is, the USA, anybody who were to do business with the Mohammeds will be sanctioned. And so the caller can't be too far-fetched about the Mohammeds becoming unbankable. I noticed yesterday the Bank of Ghana pulled the banking license, the Cambio license for confidential Cambio. Is that the name of the Cambio? I think so. But it's a Cambio operated by the Mohammeds, right? The license for that was pulled. I noticed also the Ghana Motor Racing and Sports Club has washed the hands of T. Mohammed. And I'm sure that quietly, even if not in the public sphere, a lot of other associates of the Mohammeds are now disassociating themselves because nobody wants to get tainted. Like I said, you don't just jump on a muddy train and then jump off and believe you're going to get mud. So if you've been on it, the possibility is you don't get mud. The amount of mud you want to retain is up to you, right? With regard to May Thomas, I'm of the firm belief that May is going to survive. Right? May is going to survive. I don't think May is one of them quote unquote done stub who does just, get your thing and squander it. I would hope that she was saving for wet days, as the Guyanese would say. Even if she can't spend it on an overseas vacation, maybe at least she could go to the market and she could eat. Right? But I'm sure the PPP will take care of her too. Because the fact is, if you leave her out in the open like that, then the wolves will devour her. She gonna sell something. And what is easiest to sell? The information that she has on all of them. And so they will have to offer May some amount of protection. Like it or not. Resign from the PPP is a show. Suspension from duty is a show. You're still one of us. And because you're one of us, we have to protect you. And I know the PPP will be doing that. Good? But like I said, don't take it for granted that these people are under pressure and so you can relax. You can't relax. They say don't kick a man when he's down. It's the best time to kick him so you can stay down. I'll take some kicks in the PPP. Yeah? Have a good day. Flash Garden was the menu for today. I'm cooking some home style cook up by some greens cook up. Right? You want to come and get some? It's good food, you know. Come and get some. Good. So that's it for me today. Happy Father's Day to those of you who are fathers, those of you who are prospective fathers, those of you who are acting the roles of fathers, those of you who are fathers to somebody else picnic, whether you know it or you know it. Happy Father's Day, man. Happy Father's Day. Have a great one. I hope you really get the opportunity to celebrate yourself as a member of the male species. And I hope you get what you deserve. Honor. Somebody asked the other day, fathers is get basket too. That is our society set, eh? Only women get baskets. We don't know what fathers get. Fathers might get a happy Father's Day will buy. Right? Good. But I wish you a pleasant weekend. And before I go, let me thank those people who came into the Cash App this morning. Lorraine, again, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Carlo. Thank you. Brent Null, thank you, and Mosi. Thank you for dropping by in the Cash App this morning. And those of you who went over to Zelle, I want to thank you also. You know yourselves, not everybody wants their names mentioned. I am certainly grateful for your contribution. Like I said, it's going to go far away in helping us to do the things we intend to do in the next few days, I can see. Right? So big up yourself and stay safe. Don't rejoice because of another man's fortune or misfortune. Just protect yourselves at all times. That's all I want to say. Protect yourself and protect your sanity at all times. Good? Bye-bye. We talk. Stay focused. If there's anything that comes up in the course of the day, of course, I'll keep you posted. tell you all bye-bye, but I didn't end the program, I gone. Much love.